Thank you, G-Defy, for being a sponsor of Newsmax Podcast. G-Defy shoes are the best choice for walking, running, and standing. If you spend a lot of time on your feet, these are the shoes for you. G-Defy's patented Verso Shock technology aligns your posture and perfects your gait. Go to gdefy.com and use the code MAX for $30 off on orders of $130 or more.
Welcome to your Newsmax Daily for Monday, July 15th, 2024. It's the 197th day of the year and not the Monday that any of us had anticipated heading into the weekend back on Friday. It is the one Monday that Republicans, political pundits, and all of the media had on their calendars for several months, if not more. But no one imagined that this Monday would be the way the Republican National Convention would begin, right? You know, in sports, there's a term that's often used, a game of inches. Many times the difference between a championship and the agony of losing the championship comes down to an inch one way or the other. Well, we are talking about less than an inch, a half inch, perhaps a quarter of an inch. This would be an entirely different kind of Monday. Former President Donald Trump, now in Milwaukee for the convention, arriving yesterday, a day after he was injured in an attempt on his life, saying it was God alone who prevented the unthinkable. Trump also said he has completely rewritten his convention speech with a new focus on unity. America should also be focused on Kari Lake and his family, the 50-year-old American patriot who was killed in the shooting while protecting his family, a volunteer firefighter. I am not going to rehash the whole rally and shooting, but I do want to play this segment from Saturday. Newsmax host Bob Brooks was at the Trump rally in Pennsylvania and was on the air almost immediately, only minutes after the shooting.
It was your typical Trump speech. The crowd was fired up. I sat down in my seat watching the president, and then you heard the first shot. Greg, it sounded like, honestly, it didn't sound like some kind of high-powered rifle, like kaboom. It was like a pop. It sounded like a firecracker, the first one. And then there was more, and then there was more, and then that's when it dawned on everybody there was an assassination attempt going on, or there's some type of shooting, to some degree, mass shooting on the crowd. And I was on the risers, directly in front of the president, and I ducked down, everybody dove down, and then the firing stopped. And I looked up, and I didn't see President Trump. I just saw the scrum around him on stage, and I just started shouting out. I said, where is he? Where is he? Is he down? They're like, yeah, he's behind the podium. He's behind the podium. He's down. I'm thinking the worst. I'm saying we know he's okay now. Thank God he's okay. And then off to the left. So, Greg, President Trump is speaking directly to the crowd. To the right, the shot came, at least one of them, as you're saying now there's two snipers involved in this. At least one of them was off in the risers. There's the risers behind him, to the right, his right-hand side. That's where the state police, I looked over there, I saw state police converged on somebody over there, a scrum going on just as well. By that time, the shooting had stopped, but the crowd was in dismay. I mean, we just saw an assassination attempt against the president. It was kind of weird. Some water system shot out from the two monitors that were by him. One of them, I don't know if a bullet hit it or something and hit a line or whatnot, but everything stopped, and then water shot out, sprayed out from the side, and then the rest is kind of a blur, Greg. We just had the assassination attempt on Trump, but I will say this. When he got up and he fist pumped the crowd, we all fist pumped him back, including myself. We all screamed, USA, USA, we love you. Everybody was... it was happening in real time, so we didn't really know what to do. But we all fist pumped him, and they whisked him out and then put him in the SUV, and then he was gone. The scrum continued off to the side, though, within seconds, Greg. Police tape had been put up around that area. Secret Service in that area came through. They began kicking over chairs, obviously looking for weapons or whatnot. And it was all focused to that side. I did see what I thought to be blood on the bleachers to where the shots looked like they came from and to where that scrum was going on. And then the crowds, they got on the intercom and they said, you got to go. Everybody's got to clear out. And everybody started clearing out. And we tried to get on air as soon as we could. And we did. And that's the latest now. Everyone's been leaving, Greg, and you can see behind me, this was the row of all the Trump memorabilia. What a day. What a fun day we were having here in Western Pennsylvania, Greg. As you know, I'm from here. I grew up about an hour and 20 minutes away, and this was a great day for Western PA. The crowd was huge. I haven't seen a crowd covered a lot of Trump rallies. I haven't seen one like this. It was enormous. And to have it end like this, obviously it's awful. It's awful they tried to kill President Trump. It's just awful for the country, period. What happens next? Where do we go next? Where are things going to go? No one knows. It's a new country now.
It is awful for the president. It is awful for the country. And where do we go next? Where do we go from here? All good questions, emotional, on-the-spot reporting from Bob Brooks at the Trump rally only minutes after the former president was whisked away by Secret Service. We hadn't really known anything at that point yet. Now, there are a lot of questions surrounding the Secret Service, right? There will be investigations of the Secret Service and other security that was at the event, local police, etc. That's all happening now. According to Newsmax and other sources, the Trump campaign had been requesting more Secret Service protection in the past few weeks. The Secret Service in the White House says that they provided them with the extra service, but there are many credible sources, including someone I know who worked for the Secret Service, saying that that is not true. So that's one of the many things that they'll be hoping to get to the bottom of. And also, one of the many things that's trending is the one female Secret Service agent who looked like she did not know what the heck she was doing, could not get her gun back in the holster, among other things. We now know that there were not two shooters, right? That was circulating early on. And we now know that the scrum in the stands to the right of President Trump that Bob Brooks mentioned was not the shooter being taken into custody, but the shooting of rally attendee Kari Lake. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro has ordered flags across the state lowered to half-staff in honor of Kari.
Kari was a firefighter. Kari went to church every Sunday. Kari loved his community. And most especially, Kari loved his family.
So with all we're hearing today about the shooter, the investigation into the shooter tomorrow and the next day, let's not forget about Kari, okay? If you were one of the millions watching our breaking news coverage of the Trump rally on Newsmax Saturday, you know Lydia Serrani was on the air. She broke the news. Bob Brooks' partner on American Agenda, Katrina Zish, she rushed into the studios, as did Greg Kelly. They stayed on the air for hours and hours. I want to give big kudos to them for their coverage, as did Chris Salcedo from his home in Texas, getting reaction and information to you as quickly as possible. This is Arizona Senate candidate Kari Lake back on Saturday.
One person was killed, 2 other spectators critically injured, simply because they were coming out to celebrate democracy in this country, and that's just not okay.
Well, and this attack, I'm assuming, happened because people are trying to stop this movement, and this is a movement of we the people. And I'm just so happy that President Trump has brought people together in so many wonderful, peaceful rallies. His rallies are always wonderful. I've been to too many to count. I always leave feeling upbeat and optimistic about our country and our future. And tonight, I'm just so glad that President Trump, I just thank God. I truly thank God that President Trump's okay. I'm saddened and I'm praying for the family of the spectator, the rally goer who was killed, and anybody who was injured tonight, and those who maybe were traumatized by what they saw. We're living through a pivotal moment in our history. There's no doubt about it. It's pivotal. It's an enormous moment in history. It's going to be a little bit scary and dicey, possibly, in the next few months, and I just pray that we come together.
Arizona Senate candidate Kari Lake on Newsmax. Unity is the big theme now. I just told you that President Trump said he has rewritten his speech with a theme of unity, and President Biden stressed unity in his address to the nation last night, as other Democratic lawmakers have been doing since Saturday. Look, I give Biden some credit for addressing the country and at least saying a lot of what he's supposed to say, right? But it was only a week ago or so, speaking with donors, according to Politico, that President Biden said it's time to put Trump in a bullseye. Likely just a very poor choice of words, but a bullseye of all things. And you know, if Donald Trump or any Republican had used that term bullseye, you know what the outrage would be. Something many Republican lawmakers are furious about today. He also said on numerous occasions that Trump is a dictator, as have many other Democrats. Their whole platform, other than abortion, is that Donald Trump is going to destroy the country, tear up the Constitution, and end democracy as we know it. And don't forget this during Trump's first presidency.
Let's make sure we show up wherever we have to show up. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
California Rep. Maxine Waters, you create a crowd, you push back on any member of the administration. You tell them they are not welcome here. And then there was this at a LGBT event.
With this kind of inspiration, I will go and take Trump out tonight.
No one in the party ever criticized Maxine Waters for that. They weren't talking about unity back then. They weren't talking about unity when Chuck Schumer, the highest-ranking Democrat after the vice president, gave that possessed-looking speech saying, "Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, you will feel the wrath." You remember that? There has been 7 or 8 years of visceral dialogue directed at Donald Trump and even his family, and this finally happened. And now they're calling for unity. So many people over the weekend, Greg Kelly, Lydia Serrani, Sebastian Gorka, attendees at the rally, even hosts and reporters on other networks saying that they were surprised by Saturday's assassination attempt, but not necessarily shocked. So many people saying they felt like something like this was eventually going to happen to Donald Trump. This is Donald Trump Jr. on Newsmax Sunday, the day after the assassination attempt of his father.
It needs to stop. We got to get our country back on track. We got to create some unity. We have to start putting America first. And my father is the only person actually capable of doing that because he's already done it. He done it despite the rhetoric, despite the attacks from the media, despite the attacks from big tech, Democrats, rhinos in his own party. And he still had an incredible record of accomplishment. If we had some unity and we had some people working collectively to get this done, we can do incredible things for America. But that's not what the Democrat Party wants right now.
Your dad put out a Truth Social post, and he said that God alone is responsible for his protection. He also asked for prayers. I saw your sister also tweeted that the anniversary of your mother's death was when is it? Is it today? Today. Yeah. So yeah. He has an angel looking out for him. He has God looking out for him, because how else can you explain for the bullet to pierce the top of his ear just millimeters from his brain? How else do you explain it?
I mean, if there's ever been divine intervention that I've got to witness in my life, it was yesterday. I mean, that, half an inch difference, and we're having a very different conversation. We're probably not actually having a conversation today. It's truly something special, and I hope that's just an omen for the future of our country, because we need it.
Don Jr. on Sunday Agenda with Lydia Serrani. Okay, so what about the shooter, right? We're going to learn a lot more today, but I'm not talking much about the shooter because I have covered many, many shootings, unfortunately. And people, sick people, especially young people that often do this type of thing, often do it to gain notoriety, among other reasons. And I don't like to give them that notoriety. I like to focus on the victims, like Corey Compertor. As for the investigation into the shooter, the FBI says the rifle that 20-year-old Thomas Crooks used in the shooting was purchased legally by his father. His high school, Bethel Park High in western Pennsylvania, actually has a rifle team, which refused crooks as a member for not being a good enough shot or not having a good enough shot. Investment firm BlackRock came forward yesterday to say that the shooter had appeared in one of its TV commercials as an extra. The ad was actually filmed at Bethel Park High School when he was still a student there. BlackRock said it is removing the ad from circulation. And here we are. Monday, the Republican National Convention underway in Milwaukee. Newsmax hosts Greta Van Susteren and Rob Schmidt are there. They spoke with Iowa Senator Joni Ernst.
We still don't know who he's going to select as his vice president running mate. Maybe he doesn't even know at this point. But, I mean, that was going to be the big reveal. That was what we were waiting for. And now it's going to be the president walking down on stage whether there's a bandage on his ear or not. I mean, the whole dynamics of the convention have changed.
They have, and that was one thing we thought about. I drove up from Iowa this afternoon, and it was one thing that was rolling through my head is that the dynamics have really changed now. One, we have the loss of the gentleman that was trying to protect his family in the shooting yesterday, and we had an attempted assassination on a former president of the United States, soon to be the candidate from the Republican Party. The mood will have changed here. But this will fire up our base in a positive way, because President Trump has really taken this. He could have said all kinds of ugly things. He has not. Yeah. Instead, he has inspired in a positive way, not just the Republican base, but probably many independents out there that were on the fence. They will see what an extraordinary leader Donald Trump is.
The other thing, too, is that I think that a lot of people have accused him of having fighting words. You know, and he's on the receiving end of this. Yeah. You know, and I keep going back to what I started at the top of the show. Is I still have not recovered from Senate Majority Leader going out in front of the Supreme Court and saying, Chuck Schumer, and saying, we're coming for you, Gorsuch, we're coming for you, Kavanaugh, and then some guy did show up. I mean, that couldn't have been more provocative to try to go out and hurt two Supreme Court justices. It wasn't just like, we're going to beat you, we're going to slam you, we're going to tough you up. Those were words that were designed to hurt and to cause that.
Senator, they have the desperation to hold on to power leads to, verbiage that is really, really dangerous in this country. Absolutely. I mean, when they're clinging to power, and I think it's, to be fair, you probably see it on both sides. It seems much more visceral on the left because they've never had a figure like Donald Trump shake their world up the way he has, and they've become so desperate. And I mean, when you watch these political shows, flip on MSNBC for 45 minutes. I mean, just try it sometime. I mean, it's the way they talk about it. It's like the country's going to end if he gets back into power.
But that's the policy right now, the Democratic Party. I'm anxious to see what they do at the convention. Their policy isn't what we're going to do for the future. The policy is we're going to protect you from Donald Trump.
Exactly.
That seems to be what the policy is. And I think most Americans want to know, what are you going to do for me?
Yeah.
Right. We've heard this rhetoric for 8 years now coming from the left. But, Rob, you're right, though. Left and right, we need to tone it down. Okay, we can disagree. We can disagree all day, all night. Yeah. But what it comes down to, the left's policies are horrible. It's not just Joe Biden. It's the entire policy of the left. Yeah. And we need to bring the rhetoric down. Let's focus on what we're going to do for America. Donald Trump is going to do that.
But the discussion isn't disagreement over policy.
No,
that's a fair debate. I mean, that's a fair debate that certain people might want to do different things about immigration. That's a fair debate, but it has gotten much uglier and much more vicious, and it's us against them.
For your point, Greta, when you can't argue your side's positions, you turn to ugliness and hate.
That is Iowa Senator Joni Ernst with Greta Van Susteren and Rob Schmidt, two of the many Newsmax hosts covering the RNC throughout the upcoming week. There was one big change made to the RNC lineup yesterday, which you'll probably hear about throughout the day. Former Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley, who initially was not even invited to the convention, has now been invited to speak at the convention. I believe that will happen tomorrow night, Tuesday. Donald Trump will be there all week, but he speaks on Thursday after officially accepting the party's nomination for president. Had it not been for the assassination attempt of former President Donald J. Trump, one of the big stories, if not the big story over the weekend, would have been the passing of fitness guru and TV personality Richard Simmons. Simmons, you may recall, was once a staple of late-night TV shows and infomercials, as well as having his own show that ran for 4 or 5 years. He passed away on Saturday at the age of 76. And then yesterday, actress Shannon Doherty of 90210 fame, a show that I watched religiously back in the day. She also starred in Charmed. She died yesterday at the age of 53 after a long and well-documented battle with cancer. In fact, she was doing a podcast basically keeping people up on her health. If nothing else, this weekend of terrible news has hopefully reminded us of just how precious life is and how fast things could change or even end, right? On Wall Street, stocks opened in the green. Earnings from some of the nation's largest banks are highlighting the day. Netflix is reporting earnings later in the week, and later in the week we'll get retail sales numbers, but it's mostly some big marquee earnings that is going to dominate the news. Be sure to keep up with all of the news in the RNC convention on Newsmax, Newsmax.com, and also make sure you have the Newsmax app, which allows you to watch it from anywhere, anytime. It's available in the App Store and Google Play. So make sure you have the Newsmax app and make sure you're watching on Newsmax Plus. I'm Tony Marino. Thank you, as always, for listening to the Newsmax Daily Podcast. Please subscribe on whatever platform you may be listening on. Enjoy the rest of your Monday and keep on fighting the good fight.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
It's our America. We conquered it. We built it. Great values like honesty and fairness. Great courage. A great nation needs a free press. Newsmax is it. 30 million Americans regularly go to Newsmax when they really need to know. They watch Newsmax TV at home. On the free Newsmax app, they go to Newsmax.com. Start today. Newsmax is real news for real people.